Let's talk about the aspect of power. What is power in the organization? How do you go about looking at it? There is a classic study out there, and it's an older study back in the late 50s, 1957, and it's been around a long time because it's so concise. This is one of those things sometimes you need to go back and read. Now, by the way, the French and Raven study is very technical. If you want to read it, it's feel free to do that. But I read it, and it's a really good way to fall asleep on a regular basis because of the fact it is so technical. They talk about having five different bases of power, and I want you to have this. It is not in your textbook. This is something that I believe that every leader needs to know about, and this chapter is about leadership. There's five different ways of power. Coercive power, or you need to do what I say, or I'm going to do really bad things. I got my water board all ready to go just in case you don't comply. Reward power. If you do this, I'll give you a treat. Okay, legitimate power. I'm in this chair and you'll do what I say because I have the power in this chair. The reverent power. Oh, I love him. He's so fabulous. He sits down and he gets it. I like doing the things he says. The expert power. I don't get this. I'm going to go talk to Martha. She's brilliant at this. There are different kinds of power base, and you need to know about them. If you can, start making yourself using multiple different bases. You'll find your career pathway goes really well. When you talk about coercive power, it's the threat of violence. You will do this, or I will do bad things to you. Yes, the main goal is compliance. It really is leading by fear and intimidation. And you know what? It actually works pretty good. I think employees leave at a much faster rate, but here's the simple truth. A lot of times when you threaten somebody at their very low, you do this, I'm going to fire you, we get totally terrified to death and we do it. Doesn't mean you like it, doesn't mean you like your work, doesn't mean you like the boss, and it looks like maybe you want to go to a different place, and that happens an awful lot. And how dare you be creative because that boss will throttle you down. But that being said, it is effective. You will gain compliance if you're threatened on a regular basis. But your better employees tend to leave because nobody wants to be in that type of situation. The really odd part is that ultimate threat of firing. It, as soon as you use it, people realize that it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to fire you. Oh, he fired Rocky last month. Oh, and Rocky got a better job. Rocky's getting 10,000 more. Huh. Huh. All right. Well, maybe I want to go find another job. Whenever you exercise the power, the threat of that power is often diminished. So this is not a good long-term strategy. The power of reward. I have one of my son. He sat there and he played soccer. Of all things, he started out playing goalkeeper. Oh my gosh, that's an awful job because of the fact that if you stop all the goals, you're the hero. If you don't, you're the dog. Although I like dogs, okay, but everybody says, yeah, you let all those goals in. There's 10 other players that let everybody else go by, but the last one's the goalkeeper, and because the goals went in, it doesn't matter. You can always justify it, but you let 4 goals in, that's your fault. So by the time it was all done, when he started out in elementary school playing soccer, we would give him money. Okay, if he had a shutout, he got $3. If he won the game, he got $1. We had a financial incentive. Well, then he got older, and then he got into club soccer. So it went from $1, $3 to $5, $10. And then it went from $10 to $15. And then he got to college and he played at Irvine Valley College. And he wanted us to give $20 for a shutout and $15 for a win. No, no, it doesn't work that way. Eventually, the problem with reward power is that as soon as you sit down and start paying, then there's been an expectation of additional pays. If you sit down and graduate from high school and your parents go out and buy you a brand new Corvette, what are they going to buy you when you finish graduating from college? A Lamborghini? So the power thing really has its own limitations. When you use it in the workplace, okay, the winner for this month will sit down. If you sell the most, you're going to get a trip to Tahiti. Okay, so what do you do next year? So the reward power has a limitation to it, but it really does give some credibility to the aspect of it. And then sometimes you sit in that chair and you have legitimate power. I am in charge, and you do that. The problem is a lot of people don't realize about the power they have. They fail to recognize it, and they begin to know others go around them to accomplish their goals. So sometimes legitimate power people don't understand their role is to sit down there and handle the duties of that job. Referent power sometimes you like somebody, they're charismatic, they sit down there and they make sense. They may not even be in charge of you, but you want to follow and do the things that they say because you enjoy that group, you enjoy that type of personality, and you want to be affiliated with that group and their beliefs. Whether it's anything from work to outside of work, whatever it may be, you just enjoy being around a certain amount of people and maybe a person because of their referent power base. And then lastly, that expert power. The expert power really is good in the aspect of you study to be on top of things and you're the expert. You may not be the boss in writing, but you can be the boss in power by having people come to you for your expertise. A lot of them, they study, study, study. You've probably seen some of them. These are the crazy ones that sit outside of an Apple store when they're coming out with the latest iPhone model, and we make fun of them and everything called crazy geeks. Okay, except whenever we're troubled about technology, we call them because they're the expert and we know they're the expert. Expert powers carry a lot of authority because of the fact that we go to them and ask them questions because of their expertise. It's very powerful. I have a YouTube video here made upon the Game of Thrones, which is a series that was on television, dominated everything in the process. I want to just touch base on this one. It does a good job of illustrating this in this world that was developed in Game of Thrones. So sometimes you talk about power, you need to look on the 5 different types and start using them on a regular basis. Really, by the time you're done, legitimate power is big. If you can add referent power and expert power into that chair that you sit in as with your legitimate power, people will come to you because they want to come to you. They want to sit there and tap your knowledge. They want to be around you. They want to be around that position. If you toss in the occasional coercive power is necessary and reward power as well, those things really aren't there. A true leader starts mastering skills just like these 5 over here, which really undercut and undermine everything. If you can sit down there and have them, you'll be on top of your game as a leader in the world of business or any other place you decide to work in. The 5 rules of power. Take care.